Somos Mango Residencia para Artistas con base en Buenos Aires, Argentina, y Moku Art Studio con base en California, Estados Unidos. Hoy 3 artistas internacionales abren sus ventanas desde sus lugares para compartirnos sus visiones, sus reflexiones y su mirada sincera sobre nuestra tierra a través de sus procesos creativos. En este Open Studio no verán sus trabajos terminados. Eso lo dejamos para la exposición que será al final de este encuentro. Aquí verás lo que para nosotros toma valor, el camino recorrido. Alison, María y Francisco trabajaron durante el último mes y medio en nuestra residencia de arte virtual sobre temas en vínculo con nuestra tierra. Han compartido ideas, diálogo y reflexiones, pero también han escuchado para abrir sus perspectivas artísticas y también personales desde la mirada científica y los saberes ancestrales. Primero tuvimos el honor de escuchar a Jessica Sarabia, artista visual, educadora y gestora cultural especializada en saberes ancestrales andinos, quien trabaja con comunidades ancestrales en Ecuador. Luego fue el turno del doctor Alan Collock, profesor emérito de ecotoxicología en la Universidad de Idaho. Él y su equipo de investigación han publicado extensamente sobre la contaminación del agua y las consecuencias de las sustancias químicas sintéticas en la salud humana. Es un honor contar con su presencia hoy aquí entre nosotros. Les damos la bienvenida y dejamos el espacio a Alison Reynolds, artista visual australiana, quien para ella ahora son las 6 de la mañana del día 23 de abril. Alison trabajó in situ en su territorio realizando una investigación y una intervención de arte efímera y video. Frida.
Hi guys, welcome. We are Moku Art Studio based in California and the US and Mango Residencia para Artistas based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And today we have 3 amazing international artists who are opening their windows from their respective locations to share their visions, reflections, and sincere perspectives on their earth through their creative processes. In this open studio, you won't see their finished works. We are saving that for the exhibition at the end, so stay tuned. But here you'll see what matters most to us, which is the journey itself. Alison, Maria, and Francisco have been working for the past month and a half in our virtual art residency on the themes related to our land. They have shared ideas, dialogue, and reflections, but they have also listened to and broadened their artistic and personal perspectives through a scientific lens and ancestral knowledge. First, we had the honor of hearing from Jessica Sarabia, who is a virtual artist, educator, and cultural manager specializing in ancient Indian knowledge, who works with indigenous communities in Ecuador. And next up was Dr. Alan Collock, Professor Emeritus of Exotoxicology at the University of Idaho. He and his research team have published extensively on water pollution and the impact of synthetic chemicals on human health. It is an honor to have them both here with us today. And now we want to welcome you and give our turn to the floor over to Ms. Alison Reynolds, who is based in Australia and whom she's been up since 6 a.m. Ms. Alison worked, sorry, Alison. There we go. Alison worked on site in her own territory, creating an ephemeral art and video installation. The floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Hello, everyone. My work, I wanted to explore the feeling of ancientness and the specialness of where this, where I actually am, where I actually live. And I wanted to create a relationship with the work that I was making. After Jessica's presentation to us, I felt very, I felt that I needed to actually delve deeper than just the materials, though the materials make up a huge part of my work. And so I spent a lot of time with the main piece of my work in person, exploring it in different ways. And I've made a video to give some background, and it talks about the more scientific and also why this area and around me is special. So if we could play the video, and then if anyone has any questions afterwards.
So would you like me to share a screen?
Yes, well, I thought you were going to do it. Yeah, so
Okay.
I haven't teed it up at all. I've just left it to you.
Don't worry, I will share my screen.
Thank you. While it's happening, I'll just say that my work is very materials based. So the process of making the work is part of the work, recording, making the work is part of the work. And the opportunity here to actually make in the residency, to go from the beginning to the end, to be able to show that process has been really, really exciting for me. Over 5 billion years ago, a star entered its dying phase. The hydrogen that it had used as fuel ran out. Helium became the fuel. And then when that was spent, the star used oxygen, and then silicon, and finally it made iron. Iron is the end of the road for many stars. In probably less than the length of a day, the star collapsed in on itself and exploded in a massive release of energy. This seeded space with iron and many other elements, but we're only interested in the iron. Eventually, that iron was incorporated into the creation of our planet, and here we are today. Red ochre is dirt or clay and hematite, Fe2O3. That's iron and oxygen bonded together in a brown-red substance that gave it the Latin name for blood mineral. In chemistry, Fe2O3 exists in many forms, but in the history of humans, it's been most used as pigments, red and yellow ochre, and for the base material for the metallic iron that took us from tool-making ape to industrial beings. Here in Billagher, the Pilliga, I live in an ancient landscape that is the largest remaining native forest on the continent. 150 million years ago, this land was a series of huge inland lakes that laid down silt. As the silt layers got heavier and heavier, they created sandstone. This sandstone now acts as a filter for the largest underground aquifer in Australia, the Great Artesian Basin. It's under approximately 22% of the entire continent and is the largest and deepest artesian basin in the world. It supplies fresh water to much of the east coast of Australia. The water that rises from the basin to springs has been dated to 2 million years of age. The land that I live on is a special place for the First Nations people of this part of Australia, the Gomeroi or Gamilaroi people. They chose to use this area as a place of meeting and ceremony. They believed that their ancestor creator placed a guardian in the Pilliga, and he protected the area. Permanent habitation did not occur here, but many peoples would travel through to trade with the Gamilaroi people and to follow seasonal food. All kept in mind the hairy man and never took more than they needed. I try to follow similar thinking and keep my art practice to what I can gather from around me and find by second hand. So back to the iron. Iron oxide makes up 10% of the minerals in the ground of the Pilliga. It stains the sandstone and the dirt a yellow through red colour. With a small amount of processing, it can be converted into a pigment, and that can be mixed with a binder to become paint. And that is what I made my main work for this residency with. The work I've made is my looking for a connection with this ancient place. This is where I generally find my ochre. Clay in the roots of upturned trees or in disturbed ground. There's a lot of sand that covers the surface of the ground here, and the trees are strengthened by sinking their roots into the clay. The next step is to separate the organic substances such as twigs and leaves and to let the heavier particles settle into the bottom of the jar with water. The finest pigment is actually in the coloured water, not in the bottom of the jar at the moment. The water is strained and the larger particles put back in the dirt. The pigment particles can be separated from the water by either evaporation if you have the time, or by filtering with a filter paper. In this case, I'm using a coffee filter. You can let the filter paper dry and then grind with a muller and a glass plate. For this work I created in the residency, I chose to leave the particles fairly coarse with no grinding to give the marks that I made further texture. To make paint, you need to add a binder to the pigment that you've just created. So you need to put it into a liquid form. For the binder in my work this time, I used Australian acacia gum. Damar and gum arabic are also used by other people. This needs to be ground to a very fine powder and added to warm water. Acacia gum is very hydrophobic, so it usually needs to sit overnight to perfectly dissolve. Glycerin is also added to the mix to help the paint leave the brush. The acacia makes your house smell absolutely amazing. I tested the paint that I had made on some scrap wood to make sure I had the right consistency to both stain and leave a crystallized coating on the surface. If you want to try this in your practice, please be aware that you are creating a very fine dust, both with the ochre and the damar. You should protect your lungs and your house from that dust by either wearing a mask, and I mean not just a surgical one, but an N95, or placing the mortar and pestle inside a covering while you're doing the grinding. Maria, do you have a question?
No, sorry. I thought the wrong button. But I love it. I love it, your process.
Thank you.
I don't have a question either, but I'm really looking forward to seeing your work. Really, really interesting.
Thank you. Well, there's no talking in the work, so there's no lecture from me, but I hope the work stands on its own and really celebrates what I have created from the land. So I feel like I'm in partnership. It's just my interpretation and thoughts of how to not use, but show the best for my eyes, the things that make me happy, to be able to see that the best in the best light. So well, that was all I had really to say. So, I don't know if anyone has any other questions.
I think the video was so well done that there is no questions. We saw everything, and yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
I want to say
Okay.
that it definitely opened up your process. Like, I know hearing you talking about it, and it makes sense, but once you see, you know, where you're taking your materials from and how you work with them, and then how we will see the work at the end and how it transforms, I think that's amazing, because a lot of the times we forget that, you know, a lot of the things that some artists use, like yourself, come from directly from the land, and you're working with that with your own hands.
Great.
Quizás si me ayudan a traducírselo después, a mí me parece sorprendente, es muy potente a nivel de belleza y de poética, porque hay como un círculo, ¿no? Algo que sale de la naturaleza para volver a la naturaleza a través de la mano, de su pensamiento, de su conexión. Eso es lo que me tiene conmovido.
Okay, I will translate. He says, surprising. It is incredibly powerful in terms of beauty and poetry because there's a cycle that begins in nature and returns to it through the hand, through thoughts and connections. That really moves me.
Thanks, Fran. And the other thing is, like, that way of making art, just using the ochre with just water, maybe later on the honey or egg was used. It is such an ancient way of marking, and to be able to be part, like feel part of that from, you know, hundreds of thousands of years of human history is, yeah, I hope it show the connection to the actual history, and as well the work does show a little, I think, into the future when you see it in that. I can't describe the work, but there is a little bit of the future in it if you want to read into it. That, so thank you.
Thank you, muchas gracias, Alison. Voy a hacer un resumen en español. Ella nos compartió este video donde camina por un territorio ancestral, reflexiona y piensa sobre esas comunidades y finalmente trabaja con la arcilla que extrae, obtiene a nivel, digamos, doméstico, ¿no? De lo que mostró ahí, los árboles que quizás están añejos o sí, ya viejos o desintegrados. De ahí extrae la arcilla, la procesa de un modo también muy casero, donde también nos da consejos de que en caso de que alguien quiera replicar este proceso, tome los recaudos necesarios. Y bueno, luego comparte cómo queda final la pintura que ella utiliza para su intervención artística, que tenemos muchas ganas de verlo. Al final de este evento compartiremos el link de la exposición donde podrán ver su trabajo final. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Entonces, ahora es el turno de Francisco Sousa, él es de Buenos Aires, Argentina, quien trabajó sobre sus frescos de óleo y textil, realizado en realidad tejido textil, y nos comparte sus reflexiones inspiradas en sus vivencias de sus viajes al noroeste argentino. Realizó por primera vez en esta residencia un videoarte. Frida.
Next, we have Francisco Sosa. He worked on his oil and textile frescoes and shares with us his reflections, inspired by his experiences traveling through Northwest Argentina, since he is an Argentinian artist. And for this residency, he created a video artwork for the first time. Francisco.
Bueno, voy a compartir, y a mí me han funcionado muy bien los subtítulos. en toda esta residencia. Yo invito si quieren, a poner los subtítulos porque voy a hablar en español. eh, y sé que por ahí corta un poco el ritmo, la traducción constante. Podemos hacer un resumen después, eh, pero la verdad que aguante la tecnología. Muy bien, voy a
Espera,
compartir.
Fran. Antes de que empieces, Francisco just wants to say that he has been using the caption for the entire residency and it worked for him. So he invites everybody to turn on their captions because he will be speaking in Spanish. And then that way he can just be free to walk us through his experience. And then at the end, we will do a little summary. But you get to experience what he experienced during the residency.
Ok. ¿Se está compartiendo? ¿Se ve? Sí. Bien. Bueno, lo cierto es que inicié la residencia pensando en una obra final y ahora en estos momentos donde la residencia concluye, estoy más conectado con los intentos. Eh, Siempre fui un creyente del proceso, creo que todo es proceso, creo que una pintura es boceto de la pintura que sigue, pero en estos encuentros y reflexiones fue apareciendo una idea de buscar la conexión más profunda con ese proceso y con mi manera de habitar el proceso. Así que un poco de eso es lo que quiero hablar, de cómo se fue llevando adelante ese camino. El proyecto tiene un nombre, se llama Yuyay. Yuyay es una palabra quechua que tiene muchos significados, entre ellos sus significados como más poderosos son una memoria intuitiva, un saber que está conectado no al conocimiento racional, sino a las cosas que se saben desde la intuición. A mí me acompaña desde un lugar donde, como si para ver, hubiera que cerrar los ojos, ¿no? Como si uno tuviera que mirar para adentro para ver de verdad, ¿no? Como ver si podemos hacer un juego de palabras, ese me pareció uno lindo, cómo ver de verdad. Eh, Porque verdad tiene la palabra ver metida ahí adentro. Por eso elegí esta foto donde yo siempre, de chico tengo muchos problemas en los ojos y me los refriego, eh, aunque no lo recomienden, pero justo en esta foto me pareció que eh, habilitaba. Y yo quisiera empezar eh, el recorrido hablando de los cuadernos. Creo que siempre fueron una parte muy íntima de mi proceso, pero últimamente creo que son el proceso. Son cuadernos donde registro todo. Lo registro casi sistemáticamente. No, es como una compulsión de necesitar un cuaderno para habitar el territorio, mi casa, el norte argentino o lo que fuera. Mm, Cuadernos donde dibujo y que los tengo fechados de años, cuadernos donde escribo, libretas que están destinadas a la escritura, pueden ser lugares donde anoto citas del libro que estoy leyendo, donde escribo sueños que me acuerdo. mm, Tengo incluso algunos, yo estoy en la pantallita mostrando cosas, cuadernos donde no sé bien qué es lo que hago, pego etiquetas o cosas que voy encontrando en la calle, y escribo sobre lo que esos papeles me generan o me traen recuerdos, incluso cuadernos muy específicos como este, por ejemplo, es un diario de colores donde yo me propuse una rutina para educar mi ojo, para hacer un ejercicio diario donde yo pudiera llegar al punto donde pudiera decir, ok, así es como yo veo. A estos colores les presto más atención, estos tonos resuenan más en mí, y se los comparto porque a través de estos encuentros eh, casi que se iluminó como un espacio donde yo necesitaba que el proyecto estuviera conectado desde allí, desde esa práctica diaria que tengo. Eh, y después tenemos el norte, que es el territorio donde encuentro una conexión con el color, con la tierra, con el espacio, y que es el que exploro desde el lenguaje visual, con el tejido, con la pintura. Yo no vivo en el norte, yo vivo en Buenos Aires, viajo hace muchos años, trabajo en mi casa, siempre fui muy solitario para trabajar. Últimamente estuve tratando de conectarme con personas que viven allí, con tejedoras. Cuando estoy en la montaña, lo único que trato de hacer es caminar sin rumbo y andar y construir desde lo que veo. Em, el, este propósito de los últimos viajes, de empezar a vincularme con tejedores que resuenan en mi trabajo, mm,
Bien,
hizo
perfecto,
plantearme
¿sí?
el
Sí,
propósito, ¿no? Como que yo sé
ahí está.
qué hago,
Ay, ojalá que me...
pero
Ahí está.
quizás estos encuentros me llevaron a
Espero que
pensar
se vea bárbaro.
desde
Entonces,
dónde lo
veamos
hago.
acá.
Mm,
Agarró de a
Ella es
palo.
Marta Valdivieso, es una tejedora purmamarqueña.
Suelto de a palo.
Me enseñó una técnica
Y
ancestral de
tiene que
ovillado con la
armarse.
pushka, que es
Ahí soltero.
un palo que se frota y va
Sí.
quitando hilo del ovillo,
Muestre
entonces
para acá.
vas preparando tus
Sí.
hilos. La técnica la hacía Severina, su bisabuela, ellas vivían muy arriba en la puna. Y Marta me habló muchísimo, me dijo que se habla como se teje, que se teje como se vive, que ella te puede leer el hilo como se leen las borras del café.
¿Está?
Entonces, yo ese día estaba apunado, me sentía mal, Marta me hizo un mate con yuyos y me dice, esto se nota en tu hilo. Y me explicó el concepto de yapar, ¿no? Yapar con Y, que yapar es unir, juntar.
Acá
Entonces,
lo
el
sé
hilo
yo.
em,
¿Está?
se rompe todo el tiempo y ella lo que va
Sofía.
haciendo es
Y ahora
uniéndolo.
tengo
Esto a
acá.
mí me pareció fantástico como concepto de creatividad, estas ideas que tenemos y que se nos rompen, estos intentos que yo les decía al principio. Y después la obra es unir intentos o chapar intentos, como si fuera ese hilo que a mí se me rompía todo el tiempo. Em, Esto es lo que me están devolviendo un poco estos encuentros. En esta pasta empecé a trabajar la residencia, una residencia que de repente la sentí como una residencia de palabras, ¿sí? La palabra chacana como conexión, o geósfera como territorio, o la misma palabra yuyay, que era la que yo traía. Traté de ir a esas palabras como metodologías. Me planteé cuál es la diferencia del paisaje como algo que se ve y del paisaje como algo que se experimenta en el cuerpo. Porque ¿cuál es la diferencia de un territorio que se ve desde lo estético en mi pintura y cuál es la diferencia si yo ese territorio lo veo como territorio, como una zona donde hay fuerzas que arrastran, que rompen, que sobrepasan, que superponen, que se regeneran? Creo que la conexión fue hacia ese lado en todo este trabajo. De hecho, terminé preparando un video que es un campo que nunca lo contemplé dentro de mi práctica artística, pero cómo mostrar ese mundo que sale de los cuadernos y de la experiencia del paisaje, y que lo que va quedando en las obras es como lo que cayó por ese colador gigante. Eh, Durante la residencia leí este libro que se llama Condición de las Flores, que es de Mario Velatín, y casualmente el libro también hablaba del proceso. Y ahí viene esta idea de que el trabajo no está solo en la obra final, sino en todo lo que la rodea, y a veces quizás guiado por esa lógica productivista donde lo importante es la obra final. Esto viene a contrapelo, viene a hacerme pensar a mí que la obra es todo lo que sucede. Hasta se podría parafrasear esa frase de la vida es todo lo que te pasa. Bueno, no me lo acuerdo muy bien. Eh, Esta es la última diapositiva. Me pareció muy simpático juntarles estas dos imágenes, donde estoy yo de muy chiquitito dibujando en la montaña. Mis papás me llevaban de viaje, eh, y yo llevaba mis fibras y mis cuadernos, y siempre fui una persona de poner el ojo en el paisaje y en esa luz. Y después hay una foto mía de un viaje reciente, hace 1 o 2 años ya, pintando, pero me conmueve pensar que soy la misma persona. Y para terminar, yo les quiero leer una frase de Mario Velatín que dice: cada uno de los libros es un aspecto que vengo redactando desde que era niño. El primero tomó forma a los 10 años de edad. Trataba de perros que conocía, de mi visión de ellos. Creo que ahora sigo en búsqueda de algo similar, de establecer una cierta mirada de las cosas. Lo sigo practicando ahora, 40 años después. Bueno, me gustaría pensarme así, como un pintor que hizo su primera pintura cuando era muy chico y la misma pintura sigue tomando forma, y esta conexión desde el territorio, desde las palabras y desde mí. Bueno, de acá estoy. Yo voy a dejar de compartir y si quieren, conversamos. Hablé sin parar, Mechi.
No, fascinante, fascinante. Great, thank you so much, muchas gracias. Wow, creo que el final es como que encierra todo, ¿no? Como tiene un cierre que tampoco lo sabía, no me lo esperaba. Les cuento que Fran realizó una residencia con nosotros hace muchos años atrás, y esta última no la sabía o no la recordaba. Entonces, bueno, el proceso, a mí me gusta mucho el proceso creativo que tenés, cómo incorporaste el tejido ancestral a tus frescos. Para mí es, bueno, es fascinante. Y encima es fascinante ver, eh, cómo va tomando forma, ¿no? Lo que decís. Cómo empezaste con ese tejido, explorando, experimentando, y cómo te acercás a estas comunidades que te brindan el saber, eh, que encima se ven, bueno, eso, el saber de las manos, ¿no? De la memoria de las manos, como bien hemos hablado también eh, con Jessica, y me parece muy interesante lo que, lo que se ve como resultado final, que de nuevo, en este caso es videoarte, pero eh, pueden verlo al final de este evento. Si alguien quiere decir algo más, if anyone would like to add something, Fran.
I would like to know how many notebooks you have. I got
Ah, em, bibliotecas.
wow. Since you were like very little, right? You said I didn't get the age you started, but I think you were like a, a child, right?
Em, y incluso em, ahora existe Instagram y queda muy bien sacar una foto del cuaderno donde estás dibujando. Incluso hay toda una moda de sketchbooks y de sketchers. Y cuando no existía Instagram y tenía mis cuadernos, em, siempre dibujé mucho en los trenes. Yo soy del conurbano, en Buenos Aires, y tenemos que viajar mucho para llegar a la capital. 1 hora y media de trenes y colectivos, y siempre fueron espacios donde dibujé mucho. Yo empecé a viajar desde muy chico, tenía 14, 15 años, ahí empecé con los cuadernos. Casi todos esos cuadernos no los tengo, los perdí. En ese momento no los consideraba importantes, eran simplemente cuadernos que yo tenía para pasar el rato. Así que bueno, los extraño, porque ver el proceso es lo fascinante que te permiten los cuadernos. Que yo puedo volver a ver cómo pensaba, o qué pensé, o por qué lo dije. Eso es algo que lo puedo recorrer y no se agota.
María.
Como la pintura. Ay, perdón. No, como la pintura que decía el autor del libro, ¿no? Que empezaste hace 40 años, pero que la sigues over and over haciéndola. Felicitaciones.
Gracias.
A mí me encantó también cuando dices que tienes tu cuaderno y encontraste como tu paleto, tu ojo para ver qué es los colores o qué son las cosas que más te llaman la atención a ti personalmente. Entonces, a mí se me hace como que muy, muy interesante porque la misma persona puede ver, no sé, la misma manzana y ver algo completamente diferente. Pero el hecho que lo tomaste como un sistema para entender no solo tu entorno, pero a ti mismo, se me hace muy lindo.
Sí, bueno, yo creo que nos enseñan a ver, eh, pero después tenemos que aprender a ver como vemos nosotros, eh, implica desaprender en un punto. Eh, pero bueno, hay que agarrar la pala, hay que ponerse a trabajar para llegar creo que es un compromiso, ¿no? Yo siempre tuve muchos problemas en los ojos y creo que eso siempre me posicionó distinto. Del ojo izquierdo veo muy poco, eh, eh, y me dedico a las artes visuales. Será el colmo del artista, pero bueno.
Bueno, Fran, muchas gracias. Thank you very much. So, entonces, ahora con nosotros, perdón, quiero decir
Haré un
parte
pequeño resumen.
sí, perfecto. Sí, genial.
Okay, I will try my best to summarize some of Fran's presentation in English. If I miss something important, please let me know. But he talked about how to be or how to move forward on the path. And his project is called Shujai, which is a Quechua word with many meanings. But for him, the most powerful of which is an intuitive memory, a kind of knowing that is not connected to rational knowledge, but rather to the things we know through this intuition. It accompanies him from a place, as if to see one hand to close to one's eyes, as if one had to look inward to truly see. And in Spanish, it's a play on words because it has a word "see" in the word that he used, so it does not translate very well into English, but it's an important play on words. But he also wanted to show and share with us how his notebooks are a very intimate part of his process, and lately he has considered them the process. They're notebooks where he records everything systematically as a compulsion. To need a notebook to mark his territory, his home, northern Argentina, other spaces that he inhabits, where he writes, draws, jots down thoughts, or even pastes things to them that he founds around himself. He has showed a very specific notebook, which was a colored journal, which he said was to train his eyes and to say, this is how I see things, and these colors or tones resonate more with me. And he shares them because through these encounters, a space was illuminated where the project could be connected to his daily practice. He then shared with us that when he's in the north, the region where he finds a connection to color, the earth and space, and he explores it through the visual language of weaving and painting. Even though he says he does not live in the north, he lives in Buenos Aires, but that's a very special place for him. But it makes him take a step back and ask himself, I know what I do, but perhaps these discoveries led me to think about where I do it from. He shared with us a story about Marta, who taught him an ancestral technique taught to her by her grandmother, Severina. And she talked to him a lot about how we speak as we weave and how we weave as we leave, and how she can read the thread. And he mentioned he got a little ill, and she made him a drink, and she used the same words to explain that she could see it in him weaved through on that particular point. He experienced the residency through words as he tried to approach words as a methodology. The passage is something that is seen and experienced in the body. And thought about how to convey the world of the landscape as experience and what ultimately becomes of it in the final artworks. During the residency, he read a book called, I think the translation in English would be The Condition of Flowers. And the book discusses the process, where an idea comes from, and how the artwork isn't just the end result, but is everything that surrounds it. And that resonated with him deeply. He's always been someone who focuses on the landscape. He shared with us a picture of himself as a child, where he was in the mountains painting, next to him as an adult also painting, and how it moves him to think that he is the same person. Like a painter who has been working on a painting since he was very young, and how the same painting continues to take shape, this connection between the land and words and his inner world are interconnected for him.
Excelente trabajo. Thank you. Great job, Rita. Oh, okay. So I will go to Spanish now. Entonces, ahora es el turno de María Ruiz, Ella es una artista de Brasil que vive en Toronto, Canadá, y trabajó sobre su viaje a las islas de Toronto, creando sus obras de land art y fotografía. Frida.
Next, we have Maria Reeves, who has been working on her trip to the Toronto Islands, creating her land art and photography. Maria.
Hi, thank you. So yeah, my project for the Our Land residency was a continuation of other residency I did in 2025, November 2025, in the Toronto Island. So I lived there with my daughter. She's 5 years old. We lived there for a week, 7 days. And the residency was for parents and kids. So you should bring your kids. So we create a community of parents and kids, and we lived in this island for 7 days. And during this time, I really felt a connection with the place, with the land. And this island was formed just in 1858. So it was after a storm, the island was formed, because before it was a peninsula, something attached to the land, but not just a real island. And then after this storm, it became an island. And the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation believed that the land there was sacred, and they used the island for ceremonies and for healing and for fishing also. And they had a name for the island. It was Amni Singh. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but it's Amni Singh. That's what I search. And the island keeps most of it's the most raw place in Toronto. So it's a place that you can go there and feel nature in its raw state, different from the rest of the city, which has a lot of constructions and stores and cars and noise and all that. So living the days there, that the 7 days we lived there, I could connect with the land and with the history, and become part of nature for the day, for at least for the 7 days. And my goal during the residency was to collect objects and bring with me to later do something with these objects, natural objects. So some of the earth, the sand, branches, stones. So I will show a video of this process, of this collection, for you to have an idea. Oh no, I'll have to ask permission. Sorry.
If you need help, let me know.
Can you, because my system is asking to privacy.
I can share screen
1 second. Google
if you
Chrome.
want me to.
I think I did. I don't know. Hello. Later. I don't know if I could. Okay. Let's see here. No, I can't. Sorry. Can you do it for me? So you do please do the, video 1 first. There is no sound, just image. And my final work there was this collection of pieces that I exposed on the wall. And also I did this video art, which I call Hug a Tree. And I hugged the tree for 3 minutes there. That's something I continue to do. This is a collection of videos. It is stopped or yeah, okay. So for the Our Land, my project was to make art with the things I collected on the island in November. And I will show a little bit of the process now of me producing, doing the pieces with these objects. And then you can put the second video, and then I will talk more about it.
Should I share the second video?
Yeah, you can share
Okay.
second, please. So this is my process back home, back in the studio, with the materials I collected and some recycled materials that I use. So this is the process of making paper pulp, and I do this ecological gum that I created with wheat and vinegar. And my daughter is also helping me with the process, so she's all included in my art process. Those are some of the branches I brought from the island. And with the paper pulp, I could connect them. So I created other structures connecting the branches between them. And in the paintings, I used the object as doing impressions with their texture and format. So, and with natural paint that I create with earth and sand. Okay. Thank you. So I didn't finish. So I just thank you for the video, for the playing the video. So my project, I call it Ancestral Land because of this connection with the First Nations and in the land itself, and how it holds history and holds energy, and holds this wisdom of nature as a whole thing. And my whole process is mostly based on the idea of one of my favorite writers from Brazil, Ailton Krenak. And he says in one of his books, Futuro Ancestral, Ancestor Future, that the sentence, is we as human beings, we are not separate from the earth. We are a small part of the earth. So this is what guides me to when I'm creating and when I'm on this process of searching and studying and 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 trying to connect as most as I can with nature, and reminding myself that I'm not separate from nature. So my process helps me to remind me that. So I go back to the land because I need to remind me that daily, that I'm not a person, I'm not a human being in this planet to exploit the land or to live just concerned about the daily routine that is exhausting. But I have to remind me daily that there is something bigger than myself and then these problems, or so the land helps me to remind me that there is a bigger wisdom there. And I try to do something to give it back. Also, when I take, I just want to just take. I want to give it back. I want to offer something like really an offer. Like when I went back to the island to so yeah, the final work for our land was, after producing the pieces, I would go back to the island and I would give it back, and I will give the pieces back in a different shape with my transformation, right? With parts of me. So I did that, and the final work are gonna be photos, so land art and photography, and and I left a piece there. I really left a piece in the forest. I hope it's still there, but I don't know. I can't promise that. But as an offer, as saying to the land and to the island and to the sacred beings that live there as energy, that thank you, and thank you for reminding me of their wisdom, and yeah, leaving a piece of me there too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, María. Muchas gracias, María.
Thank you.
So the same as the others, you would like to wait to see in a few minutes, seconds, the final work of Maria. I will spoil a little bit. I will share screen so that you can understand how to navigate the exhibition. Entonces van a querer esperar unos minutitos para ver la exposición final. Voy a compartir pantalla para que vean cómo es que se navega, pero claro, previamente vamos a hablar sobre el proyecto de María. Jessica.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate everyone. All your artwork, your art process are amazing. It really deep. It is really touched deeply. And I think that we are not just conserving the physical or our land, but beside of that, and more than that, is the spirit and the ancestral knowledge that every one of us have inside. As I told you in our meeting, and as Maria says, we are part. We are a part, and not only a small part. We are part of this entire world. If we do something that helps it matters. If we do something that it doesn't help, it matters as well. So the only thing that, as Maria said, we have to remind that we are here, we are all here, through the clay, through the threads, through the photography, and with any media that we have in our hands, we have the option to take care of this land. So I really, really thank you for sharing all your processes, and again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Muchas gracias. Hago un pequeño resumen en español de lo que dijo Jessica, ¿o lo quieres decir tú? Fascinante. Gracias.
Sí, no, más bien, bueno, les quería felicitar a todos por todos los trabajos que vamos a ver, pero especialmente por los procesos artísticos que nos han compartido. Porque, como yo les había dicho en nuestra primera sesión cuando nos conocimos, que nosotros somos parte de la Tierra y no necesariamente nos podemos ver como una parte chiquita, pero somos parte de esto. Que si hacemos algo que ayuda a esto, importa. Y si hacemos algo que no ayuda mucho, también importa. Que siempre tenemos que tener en cuenta, como decía María, que somos parte de esto, que todos que tenemos la oportunidad de poner nuestro granito de arena y de sostener, de cuidar no solamente la parte física de nuestra tierra, sino también la parte espiritual y también esta parte ancestral que cada uno de nosotros tenemos. Así como los artistas nos dicen a través de la arcilla, a través del tejido de los hilos o a través de la fotografía, tenemos el chance de cuidar, de conservar y de seguir haciendo algo mientras estamos aquí. Así que una vez más, felicitaciones y estoy muy emocionada por ver sus trabajos.
Gracias, Jessica. Thank you so much. Bueno, hasta aquí nuestros artistas. Gracias a todos por estar, por mirar en vivo en YouTube o mirarnos aquí, compartir. Para quienes no pudieron estar, esto queda grabado, entonces lo podrán ver después. Thank you for being here. And all of you guys in Google Meet or also through our YouTube live. And if you weren't able to watch, this will be recorded. I mean, this is recorded so that you can watch it later. So I will right now in our chat, voy a compartir en chat el link al encuentro, a la exposición virtual. I will share the link right now. So there it is. I will try to do it also. Okay, I can't do it on YouTube right now. No lo puedo hacer en YouTube,
But
pero
you can probably go check the Instagram page of Mango Residencia and it will be posted on stories as well.
Great. Entonces, pueden entrar al Instagram de Mango Residencia, es @mangoresidencia. Nuestro link en bio tiene el link a la exposición virtual. La pueden descubrir allí, navegar. Y sí quiero compartir brevemente para que se entienda cómo se navega esta exposición. Entonces aquí vamos a compartir esta pantalla. Aquí van a tener toda la información más bien técnica y la exposición está en este mapa que uno puede hacer clic en cada punto en el mundo donde se encuentra cada artista o bien puede abrir en este link verde que está aquí abajo y se abrirá el mapa de manera grande en otra ventana. Les sugerimos que lo hagan desde una computadora. So, puedes hacer zoom, ir a cada punto en el mapa. Aquí está Fran en la puna del norte argentino. Aquí está Alison en Australia. Y aquí está María en las islas de Toronto. Entonces, you can go through this map, just checking the pins here, the points in the map, or also click on this green site where you can open the map in a bigger way. We suggest you to open it through a computer. And for example, here's Alison. And then here you go with Maria. And here you have all the text with information and statement. And here is Fran. Entonces aquí está Fran con su información, texto y statement. So I will stop sharing. Entonces lo pueden navegar a sus tiempos. You can navigate it on your own time. And we're so thankful that you've been here. Gracias a todos por estar aquí. Frida.
So thank you everybody for joining us today to our Open Studio Overland. Thank you for the people that watched the YouTube Live or people who are watching it in a recorded session. Thank you to Dr. Alan, Colic, and Jessica for being with us here today, and to our 3 wonderful artists who have worked very, very hard this past 5 weeks for sharing their project and their process. And we invite you to take the time to read through their artist statements and read through the things that they really want to communicate through their artistic projects and experience their wonderful art at the virtual exhibition. Thank you everybody for being here. Happy day, morning, night, wherever you're joining us from.
Chao, gracias por estar. Hasta pronto.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.